Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I'm Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is CJ from London's Original. Great YouTube channel, which you should really be checking out. I would highly recommend it. This episode, it's another part of our special series. This is episode 2, which is the best position for this Fulham player. In this episode, we're going to be discussing Ryan Sessegnon, Sasa Lukic, and Sander Berge. We've got more players to go through, but this is episode 2. I had so much fun with episode 1. I said, CJ, we got to keep doing this. So that's why we're doing more episodes. We're also going to talk about what CJ wrote in regards to Tom Kearney's contract, signing a new deal. And then we also have some speculation. CJ, we actually have some speculation with
It's a
Fulham.
miracle, Russ.
I know it's crazy with Reiss Nelson. So we'll talk about that as well. Lot to get to in this episode. Before I go on any further, I want to welcome you back to the show, CJ. Thank you so much for joining me.
Russ, once again, mate, it's an honour. Got a second appearance. I'm going to try and be like Pavel Podvejniak light against Wolves. Hat-trick's coming in, hopefully. We'll see what happens.
Pavel Pogrebniak, you're bringing me back, my friend. I actually was a fan of his and was disappointed that he moved on to a team that he shouldn't have moved on. We'll leave it there. Yeah. You know, he made an error in judgment. We'll just say that. Okay. Before we go on any further, as we are live here on the Cottage Talk Facebook page, Cottage Talk. Geez, I'm actually screwing up here. The Cottage Talk Facebook page, the Cottage Talk YouTube channel, and also on my X account. We're live. But if you want to listen to the podcast version, it's exclusive on my Cottage Talk Patreon page. And once again, I'm just mentioning this. I am gifting 2 months of free access to the Cottage Talk Patreon page. I'm doing a lot on this page. There'll be free episodes, but there's going to be a lot of episodes that will be exclusive here. So please take me up on this offer of 2 free months of access. And I think you'll be very happy that you took me up on that. I think 16 people so far have taken me up on the gift, and I really hope more do in the coming weeks. And I really hope you check out the Cottage Talk Patreon page. Okay. CJ, again, welcome back to the show. You excited to talk about these players and the other topics?
Of course I am, Russ. It's a silly question, mate. Silly question. We've got some good stuff to get into today, mate.
We do. So let's start here. Before we talk about the players and we talk about the speculation with Reiss Nelson, we did have some good news. I've already done an episode talking about Tom Kearney, so everyone knows my thoughts on it. But you wrote about it today. So very interesting article. Please go check out CJ's London's Original, on Medium. Please do check that out. Talk about what you wrote about here, CJ.
Well, I think we've all spoken about what Tom Kearney sort of offers Fulham from the off the pitch side, Dan. Sorry, it's like I'm on the hammy end, Russ. Sorry, mate. But Tom offers plenty on the pitch. I think that we saw last season at Brentford and even at Man City, like towards the early markings of the season as well, that Tom can come on and help Fulham control possession and sort of gain control of a lead. And that is what Fulham have struggled with within the last 2 years, really. You think about going to Liverpool twice and losing leads and doing that on many occasions to many different teams. I think Tom Kearney helps prevent that. He's obviously the club captain. He's a big leader to this Fulham team. And the thing that I would earmark him for most from the off-the-pitch side is mentoring Josh King this season. I think Josh King, this will probably be his first season within the full first team set up at Fulham. Having somebody like Tom, who's been at the club, what will be 11 years to mentor you is a fantastic opportunity for Josh. And I think this sort of, once again, while making Josh a better player, I think there's maybe a better chance of Josh staying long term with the mentorship of Tom Kearney being in his ear.
See, I like what you wrote about here. Twofold. You talked about what he offers on the pitch, but I think what he offers off the pitch with being a club captain, but also being a mentor is extremely valuable. And he has life lessons to offer, not just off the pitch, but also he could offer help on the pitch. So I do like what he can offer very much so, CJ. And it's funny because I think this is a perfect situation for Fulham and Tom because I've seen many, some, I shouldn't say many, some on social media suggest, well, maybe we should have given him more years, right? I think going year to year with Tom Kearney is the right move. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that we are in the stage of Tom's career, and I think Tom himself would probably admit this, that he is at the age, what is he, 35 now, 34? That at one season, there is going to be a point where his legs just can't do it anymore. I think that we are gradually seeing that, but he's quite effectively moved deeper into midfield as the years have gone on. And I think that has seen him become maybe a better player at the Premier League level. But I think there will come a time where Tom just can't do it anymore. And that could come at any given season. So I think you're completely right, Russ. Doing the sort of rolling contracts is perfect for what Tom offers this Fulham team.
All right. Very good there, my friend. Giannis, one of our co-hosts all the way in Greece. Thank you so much for listening in, Giannis. I look forward to having you back on this season. It should be a lot of fun doing shows with you and Max again. But yes, to our discussion here on Kearney, I think it's smart business to go year to year with him because I look at someone like Tim Ream, okay? And Tim Ream was actually, in my opinion, CJ, almost getting better with age. But I think at some point, the lack of pace and his legs caught up with him. And I think it was time to move on from Tim Ream and for him to go someplace else where he's now playing for Showered here in America. I think that by going year to year, you gives that opportunity also for Tom. Maybe he wants other things in life. But I think that having him around is such a positive, CJ. And as you said, I think it's so important for the younger players to learn from Tom Kearney. The knowledge he can give, I think it's extremely valuable. Almost another coach, CJ.
For sure. I think as well, Dan, I'm sorry, man. I'm doing this all the time. Russ, sorry, mate. It's been a long day at work. Sorry. But I think people have spoken about as well, Tom sort of stealing Josh's minutes. And I think, while that is a reasonable point, I don't see Josh and Tom as two players that are competing for the same position.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so at all. I think Josh sort of stands in a position where he's going to probably challenge for that number 10 role. I think that sort of suits his play style more, of being more diminutive, probably not able to be in the thick of a Premier League battle in the midfield really at this stage. Playing the 10, he can lead the press with the energy that he's shown quite a few times this season. He's creative enough to maybe provide more than Andreas Pereira does within possession. I think Tom Kearney, like as I spoke about earlier, Russ, I think he now plays deeper within midfield. So I don't really see them counteracting each other's minutes. So for me, it's all positive for this Tom move.
Okay, very good there, my friend. All right, let's move on. Before we talk about the three players, which I'm looking forward to doing, I think we should talk about some speculation. I'm probably like you, CJ. Each and every morning, I am scouring, looking for anything. It's been painful lately, Charlie, looking for any information I can find on Fulham. They've been keeping it very quiet. There are two ways to look at it. Something big is going to happen, or they're getting stonewalled. I'm going with the former, that something big is happening, that they will bring in players. I know they're going to bring in players. You know they're going to bring in players. The question is, who are they going to bring in? So let's start with the speculation, because I actually think there's a lot to it. And also the source that it's coming from tells me there's a lot from it, because this is coming from the BBC. So I'm going to share something in a second, but I just want to get your opening thoughts about the speculation once again with Reiss Nelson. It shows up today. And what are your thoughts about him as a player and what he could potentially give Fulham?
I think, Pete, that we shouldn't really be surprised that Reiss he's been linked with Fulham. We saw that he was with the squad at the end of the season, post the last game of the season, like against Man City. Despite not being with the squad for, I believe it was the last 10 weeks of the season, which obviously quite a long time. He obviously has quite an affinity with Marco Silva, a lot in the players, and I've seen that he's been training within pre-season with quite a few lot of the players. So obviously that rings true that there is interest there between probably the player and the club. Reiss Nelson, I think that we know what he can do. I think that he's quite a unique talent at Fulham. He's direct, he's skillful. That's something that Fulham don't really have, right? I think that Reiss offers something that we need, someone that is more light direct. And I think that the option to buy from a loan is the perfect bit of business that Fulham can do. I think that sort of offers Fulham a risk-free option to see a player that is most definitely talented, but we can't, know that he can stay fit for a full season. I think that loan with the option to buy is a perfect sort of a solution to that problem.
See, I agree with you totally, CJ, on that. If there's an option to buy, I think it's a very good deal for Fulham. We're going to have to see how this all plays out. Like I said, this is speculation, but it's coming from a good source. So I think that there's something to it. I also agree with you on what he could potentially offer Fulham. Listen, I've seen him as a winger last season, watched him, and I'm thinking he's offering something, as you said, a little bit more direct, right at you from a winger that I think that they really need. You could argue that maybe on the Adama Traore offers some of that, but I think it's different with
I agree.
Nelson. I think he's a different type of winger and a player that I really like. I also like the fact that he has this relationship with Iwobi and also with our other Arsenal player that we spent a lot of money on, Emile Smith-Rowe. So having that combination of players that he knows how to play with, I think makes sense to me. And if it's the right deal, I'm all for this. Now, I know that maybe part of the argument, CJ, if they bring in a player like this on loan, and I think it could be potentially good business, do you still bring in another winger? I think maybe you then allocate big money to other positions. But what are your thoughts about if they were to bring him in?
I've spoke about the position that I think Fulham need to sort of move upon most this summer, like as a goal scoring, like a goal scoring player out wide, Russ. I think that while Reiss Nelson does sort of offer that, I think that if I'm completely honest with you, there are sort of better options that Fulham could maybe go and see. I think that at Strasbourg, go and get maybe I can't say his name, Didion Bakwa. I think he's a great player. He can take on players. He's directly skillful. Even a Brian Zaragoza from Bayern Munich, who spent the season light on loan, light in Pamplona in Spain. I think that they'd offer probably two slightly younger, maybe more exciting options for Fulham that maybe offer a bit of a higher ceiling. But I still would be happy with Reiss Nelson.
Okay, and so would I. The way that I'm looking at it, and I see what you're saying. You've talked about this earlier, that you want someone from the wing that can score goals. Maybe it's Reiss Nelson, but we've also seen that I'm not 100% sure he's that type of scorer. I don't know if he can be prolific enough for what you're looking for. So I understand why you're going on that. But my argument on if you bring in Nelson, maybe then you allocate more money to bring in finally a Mitro replacement as a striker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm kind of going on this, CJ. If you take care of the winger position, then maybe if you come back to me and then you say, you know what, we're going to put our money into a top flight striker, then I'm all for this. Does that make sense?
Of course. I hope you don't mind me sort of posing this question, Russ, but do you think that it's impossible that we never get a Mitro replacement and he comes back to the Cottage? That seems we've all gone quite quiet around Mitro in recent weeks. Listen, Russ, I'm holding out hope. Deep in here. Deep in here.
Okay, so that will lead me to ask you the question. Would you take him back?
Oh, yeah. So, listen, Russ, I love the man. Of course, did it sort of end harmoniously? No, of course it didn't.
No.
But we all know what Mitro can do. I think that he could score 15 easily in his first season back in the Prem. I think that there aren't many strikers that I can guarantee Fulham can go and get who will score 15 off the bat, hit the ground running. For me, there's no question, Russ.
Okay, so I'm going to say this right now. I wouldn't be against it. I just don't know if that would happen. But yes, things have gone quiet in regards to the situation with Alexander Mitrovic. I know he is dealing with a medical issue, so I'm not sure exactly where he is physically, CJ, as well, because I remember there was something that happened in Saudi Arabia last season. I do hope that everything is good for him, but if he's good to go and wanted to come back, I think he would need to revisit that. So I'm not against you throwing that out there. I've said the same thing, CJ. I would be all for bringing Paulinho back. So these former players that were basically difference makers, I would love to have him back. And I think that's what Fulham are missing, TJ, because we're talking about Reiss Nelson. Reiss Nelson is a player, but he's not a player that's going to take you to the next level. What Fulham need, and you're going to agree with me on this, they need players that are going to make the difference, going to be difference makers. And that's what they're missing. I think, it's funny, when you look at the team itself right now, it looks like a team that can be comfortably mid-table, a team that could potentially be in the top 10, but it's not a team that's going to fight for Europe, contend for Europe. That's what they need, CJ. They need difference makers.
I think that it's quite easy, Russ, to sort of say, oh, well, this Fulham team's decent, we're mid-table 4, Fulham, that's good. But why, as a football club, should we be happy with that? Of course, we aren't a massive football club, but why can't we push for more? And let's not forget too, within the Premier League, it is so easy to stagnate. You've got to keep refreshing that squad, keep pushing that bar even higher, as high as you can. Fulham have the means to do that at the minute. We have to capitalise on that. Sitting back and saying, well, we're all right. That will one day, Russ, that will end in disaster. I have no doubt about it. So we have got to, as you said, get those players that make the difference.
Okay, very good there, my friend. All right. So we've already discussed Iwobi. We talked about Wilson. And why am I blanking on who else we talked about?
Oh, my God. I'm as well. Iwobi, Wilson, and
wow, I'm pulling a Goldman. I can't even believe that we're having this call.
Don't worry, it's coming, mate. It's coming. Don't worry, I've got it in here somewhere.
Was it Smith Rowe that we already talked about?
Yeah, it was Smith Rowe. It was Smith Rowe. Rush, you've done it, mate.
Okay. I'm having a senior moment as I get older. I'm like, who were we talking about? But now
listen. I'm 19, Russ, and I still blank on things, mate. Don't worry about it. It's not an age thing, mate.
Okay, no worries there, my friend. All right, listen, but I think we have 3 players that could really discuss what is the best use of them. And we're going to start with a player that I actually think his best position is as a winger. Now, we could argue, is it left? Is it right? Let's start with Ryan Sessegnon. I'm going to share some information from WhoScored.com. While I get that screen up, what are your thoughts about Ryan Sessegnon? Where is the best position for Marco Silva to best utilize him this season?
Well, I'm going to completely park the left back conversation. I think that we saw, even at 16 years old against Wolves, when we lost 3-0, that Ryan's not a left back. So I'm not even going to bother with that. I think you are completely right, Russ. It's either on the left or the right. I think that we all sort of remember Ryan as a left winger coming inside the line on his right foot with sort of in that 17-18 period with Slavica Jokanovic. But when you look where most of his goals came from last season, Russ, it did mainly come from that right side, with him being used down that right side to sort of push that to sort of to get it to the byline and not to steal a stat from your Who Scored thing, Russ. But I do have one of my own quickly. Within the last 16 games of the season, he had 7 goal involvements, which was the most in the Fulham squad. Well, the joint most with Rodrigo Muniz, and that is quite impressive. I think post January, because he weren't really used during the first few months of the season, he was essentially like a new signing, Russ, really. Yeah. So for me, I'd probably say, on that right side, that's what Marco Silva likes. I like him as most.
Okay, it's interesting because if you look at what others have said too, CJ, and is it right? Is it left? Because he could do the, the inverted wingers. So is it best for him to be on the right? And I just shared some stats from WhoScored.com. It's actually not that different with their numbers wise. It is a little bit better on the left, but I'm thinking right now he could get a lot out of Ryan Sessegnon on the right. So, and that would allow a situation on the left with someone like, we're talking about bringing in Reiss Nelson, maybe Iwobi. But I think maybe on the right might be best for him, CJ. So it sounds like we're in agreement that we think left back is off the table.
Oh, no way. I think that at Spurs alone, he showed that. I'll be left back.
Okay. So my friend Chris Goodwin says Sess is a left winger for him. So I get that too. How about this? I'll just throw out a combination. Sess on the left and Harry Wilson on the right.
I think that they are both players that can cause a lot of danger inside Russ. I think
And that they're both going to move around. They're going to
Oh,
switch
of course
sides.
they are.
Yeah.
Of course. I think that you sort of saw with Ryan Sessegnon, I think that maybe his most famous moment like in a Fulham shirt was him coming inside at Wembley and slipping Tom Kearney through. Sort of
I was
that
there.
sort of, but of course, Russ, thank you very much. Listen, mate, you're the man, right? with Wilson sort of going through with the movement that he quite often showcases that is at quite an elite level. With Sessegnon going inside, I think that he can sort of access some of that quite elite passing ability to sort of gauge upon that. I think that would like 100% work. I think part of the beauty with Sess is he is so good off both wings, and there is quite a lot of competition for both of those spots, and his ability to play off both sides will just help him really.
Right, and what's fascinating about this, and CJ, I've already talked to you about this, is that I expect Sessegnon to have a huge impact this season. I think we're finally going to see the player that Tottenham Hotspur hoped he would be. That's how high I am on this upcoming season. If you've seen some videos of him, some pictures of him, he looks ripped and ready to go. He really does. So I expect him to have a massive season, and I hope Fulham use him a great deal. I think where it went wrong for Tottenham Hotspur is how he was used. Unfortunately, all the different managers he played for. And as you said, I don't think he played to his strengths. Can he be a left back? Can he be a wing back? That is all true. But he is much more effective closer to goal, right? I mean, that's just where he's more effective. He is a player that can really just change a game, and he's always at the right place at the right time. And I say that all the time, CJ. I think his best quality might not be physically, it actually might be mentally, because I just think that part of the game is where he excels. He's always knows. He's a footballer. He's always in that right place, CJ.
I think that you just look at his goal against Spurs, Russ, and you see the hard work that he put into that goal. I think that his mental attitude is nothing like there is somebody like in the Fulham squad. He undoubtedly loves Fulham, and I think that does help him.
Yeah.
That is just the sort of reality of it. He'll be given more chances by the support because of who he is, and I think that's why he's back at Fulham. But I think he showed last season that he has the ability to more than succeed in a Fulham shirt. And I think mentally, you're completely right. He can outshine the rest because of his sort of care for the club that I really don't doubt that he has. I think that goal against Spurs, that tenacity to go and get that ball, I think that showed what Sessegnon Light is all about. He got that ball and he finished it superbly.
Right. How about I think it was against Leicester City with a header. Again, that just shows where he is always at that right place and always makes the right decision. That's what's so great about him. The goal against Liverpool, as we're talking about. There's so many great moments. How about against Wolves, which set up that entire match at Molineux? Again, just a wonderful strike by him, but he was at the right place, took the pass, and the next thing you know, he puts it in the back of the net. That's Ryan Sessegnon. That's the player that I knew back in 2017, 2018. He was a young kid now. He's a man now, and I expect a huge season. And along with CJ, I agree on the right, but I think he's going to switch to both sides because I think that's what Marco does with all of his wingers. All right, let's move on. Now we'll go back to central midfield. The two players that I think it's fascinating to talk about. What is the best way to utilize both of these guys? Now, they played a lot together. We'll talk about Berge after this. Let's first focus on Sasa Lukic, CJ. Where do you see getting the most out of him? Now, I will tell you that the one thing that disappointed by both of these guys, the lack of goals we got from these guys.
For sure.
I think that they have the ability to score goals. How do you best utilize Sasa Lukic?
Sasa's a strange one because Sasa, within the first 6 months of the season, I mean, towards the whole season, really, he was Mr. Consistent. He was a solid 7 out of 10. And I think within the first 6 months of the season, he was often an 8 out of 10. Things with Sasa is it's a really tough one because he hasn't really got the defensive wherewithal to be a complete out and out, sort of defensive midfielder. But I also don't sort of what you said, Russ. He hasn't really got the creative impetus to go and be that really advanced number 8. So with Lukic, it's a tough one. This will be quite a controversial opinion, Ross, but I think Sasa would best shine as more of a squad player, not because of his abilities, but I just think that with what he offers his Fulham team, Fulham, with how they play, for me, need what João Palhinha was, an out-and-out number 6, and then somebody who can let the second central midfielder, which is going to be Sander Berge, who I'm a massive fan of, go and shine. And I don't think, unfortunately, Sasa goes and does that. But I think that his ability on the ball to be quite press resistant, he definitely has a lot of space in this Fulham team to play quite a lot of minutes. But I'm not sure if it's in one of those two main positions for me. But I know that's a controversial opinion.
I understand where you're going on this, because this has gone to my conversation with Tony Gold, that I think hampering Fulham a little bit, CJ, has been the fact that it's taken 2 players to take the place of João Palhinha. So you have 2 players basically doing the job of Palhinha. And I also think that has affected them going forward. Lukic is one of them. So if you're asking yourself which one has more ability going forward, that's what I think we're trying to get to, because I don't know, does it lead up to the argument that maybe Fulham need a real defensive midfielder? Like I said, we've been arguing, should you do everything you can to bring back Palhinha, and then you have a number 8, and then you have a number 10? Or do you roll this back from last season and play Lukic and Berge together? But does that hamper you going forward? And I think it might. I think it did. But Lukic, I think, has a role. It just matters on how Marco's going to use him. You could use him as a number 6. You can use him. You could use him in tandem. But I don't think I've seen enough going forward to have him in a more advanced role, CJ.
I think, say that Fulham had, Russ, a proper number 10 who was creatively, he sort of wows you. He can create that moment of magic. He's an attacking force, right? I think that we'd be more forgiven to have 2 midfielders that don't really create much.
I think that's a part of it. I agree with you on that.
That is, I think so. And I think, say that Fulham changed that, maybe Sasa does have more of a place in the starting 11. But otherwise, I think that he's just so versatile, and he is this sort of modern all-round midfielder, and I think that will help him. But I just don't think, with how this Fulham team is built, that he quite fits into it. But say that we do make some changes to this summer that I think will come at the number 10 position. Maybe he does find the role, but how this Fulham squad is currently made up, I don't currently see it myself.
Well, it's fascinating. Like I said, we're going to talk about Sander Berge coming up next. We just talked about Kearney. Obviously, Josh King we added as a bonus in the last episode. So all of these players vying for basically a number 6, number 8, and number 10 role. It's just interesting to see how Marco's going to use them on the chess table. And Lukic is one of them. That's why I wanted to talk about it, because I'm not sure exactly, if you want to get the most out of these players, where does he thrive the most? And that's why we're having this conversation. Now let's move on to a player you've already mentioned that you're very high on. And what's interesting to you, CJ, I actually did a podcast last season, and we talked to a supporter of, I think it was Burnley. We talked to a Burnley supporter, and basically we were talking about what's the best position for Sander Berge. Was it Burnley? I don't know. Again, I'm having another senior moment, but we were talking about what is the best position for him. Where do you get the most out of this player, right? And I think, to me, his argument was the number that number 8 role is probably better than the number 6. He didn't see him as a number 6. He saw him as a number 8. He thought he would be a liability as a number 6. Over the course of the season, CJ, he ended up playing more of a number 6, but I thought did a very good job in that role. So the question to you is, where is the best position to play Sander Berge?
I think Sander Berge is sort of what this series is all about. He is somebody that has had so many positions of life in his career. He's played as a number 6 for Burnley. He's played a lot as a number 8 for Genk and at Sheffield United.
Sheffield United too. Yeah.
Yeah. For Sheffield United, there were times where he'd be playing pretty much at number 10, going off the striker. He's played such a varied role of positions. But I think to see the best out of Sander, you need to get him running in transition, get him moving forward, sort of utilising his long legs to get forward, to get Fulham, forward up the pitch quickly, and to sort of, arrive late into the box and utilise his massive frame to sort of get on the end of crosses, or to sort of just finish off chances. Really, I think that to get that, here's number 8 for me. I think that the fan you spoke about there lies a bang on. For me, he is an out and out number 8. And say you ask me, Russ, my prediction for most improved or really player of the season for next season, my shout would be Sander Berge. I think that he has so much to show in the Fulham shirt.
So what's interesting, and I'm glad that we're talking about what he has done prior. I've seen him be very more offensive than he has been with Fulham. In fact, I know that there have been supporters that have been encouraging him to shoot, and he's been reluctant to shoot. And I think he can score goals, but I also think he can set up his teammates to score as well. So in an ideal world, my friend, even though I think he can play the number 6 role, sit back and do his thing, if you look back at his time at the other places he's been at, he's actually been further up the pitch. So I agree with you, but then that leaves a conundrum with our thoughts. Then who do you have as your number 6? Because now we're talking about him as your number 8. And I could see that too. Or like you said, even further up. He's not going to be a number 10 for us, but I could see that as well.
No. Yeah.
Not with us.
No.
Go ahead,
I can't see
CJ.
it. Sorry, no. I think for me, Sander is such a talented player. I think that we saw with his links to Man United, saw the season that he signed for Fulham, and links that he's had previous to that, that I think that he is a player that you sort of build the team around. I think that he should be partnered by a number 6 that really does allow him to fully get forward and use his attacking wherewithal. Really, I think that getting in a proper number 6 would see Sander Berge flourish, and I'd be a big fan of that. Say that Fulham could do it this window, and João Palhinha would be the perfect answer. But obviously, that is a bit of a pipe dream. But
we'll see. If you bring him back, I think that changes the dynamic of Fulham Football Club. In our conversation, because I think this is where it's interesting, CJ, because we're talking about how to get the most out of this squad. How can we maximize these players? And I think part of it is putting them in the best position to succeed. In our conversation here, and I'm going to agree with you on this, Berge, I think, can obviously play the number 6. But would you get more out of him as a number 8? I think we're both in agreement. The answer is yes.
For sure. For me, there is no question. I think that when you look at what Sasa Lukic sort of offered in that number 8 role, while he was good within possession, out of possession, a lot, and getting forward, he was rarely within the 18-yard box of Fulham. And say that we can get Sander Berge within those positions. Like for example, I'm almost certain that the last shot that Sander Berge took was his goal against Fulham near Christmas. I'm almost certain of that fact. He has not taken a shot for Fulham. I don't care what the stats say, he's just not. His last shot was 100% his goal against Fulham. Say that we can get him in those situations. We've seen what he can do, and I have no doubt in the number 8 role, he can do it.
Okay, very good. I've got a question here from Paul. Paul, we've already talked about Reiss Nelson, but we'll go back to our conversation at the beginning of the show. CJ, you already said that you would actually bring him on loan with an option to buy, correct?
I would, but I would pose that question with, I think that Fulham can go and do better. Like I spoke about Dillian Backwell at Strasbourg and Brian Zavergoff at Bayern Munich, but I think there are plenty of options on the continent that maybe offer a bit of better value for money than Reiss Nelson. But I do think that that is a good option. But to answer it shortly, Russ, I think that you're completely right. We need options that can sort of push the ceiling of the squad, and I'm not sure if Reiss Nelson can do that.
Right. And that's the point of this. I'm not against players that are good players that can be the type of players that they already have. I'll give you an example. Alex Iwobi. I think Alex Iwobi is a good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a player that takes us to the next level. We need players that will take us to the next level. I'm hoping that one of them is going to be Emile Smith-Rowe. We already have him, and I'm hoping he then emerges as one of those players. But I think we need 3 of these players at least in the transfer window this summer. I'm not talking about just bringing in good players. Reiss Nelson would be someone that would bring in addition to. I'm talking about Mitro level players, Paulinho level players. That's what they need to get us to Europe. And I'm not going to change my mind on that. All right, CJ. You want a bonus player?
Go for it, man.
All right. I like surprising you. Here's a bonus 4th player we're going to talk about. Kind of goes with our conversation. The wild card of Fulham Football Club. You ready? Adama Traore. Okay. What do you do with this player? You never know what you're going to get with this player. So if you are Marco Silva, what is the best way to get the most out of Traore?
I think that you sort of have to play Adama down that right side, Dan. I'm so sorry, Russ. Sorry, I'm having a mare here. I think that you have to play like Traore down the right side. I think that to get the best of his pace, I think that he has to get to that byline. And while he's been much criticised at Fulham, when you look back at this season and the biggest moments that Fulham had in the season, like Adama is like he is at the centre of most of them, right? Quite a lot of them. And while he does offer the performances sometimes that do make you go, wow, what is he doing that? Like, Dan, you know what? For now, Russ, your name to me is Dan. But I remember at Villa Park this season, I remember that he came off the pitch and he had an awful performance. He came on, didn't show much aptitude to go and get the ball back, just stunk out the gaff, really. And he didn't come over to cut the fans. And I remember saying that he should never play for Fulham again, which is a bit of a harsh prognosis. But I think that he is a player that, like, on his day, I think that like, it might sound like a tall order, but there aren't many better right wingers. Or like on his day, you know, like I think like in world football, he is unplayable at times.
But that's the problem.
You get that kick side. That's the thing. But I think that when you're Fulham, you sort of do sometimes need to take the chance on that. And I would be willing to play him down that right side.
Okay. So Chris chimes in and he says Traore is a bench player at best and a product is still a problem. All that is true with the product. That's all true. But CJ, to your argument, when he's on, he is on. I think it was the Nottingham Forest match where he was on.
For sure, yeah.
And when he is like lights out, there's no one. I shouldn't say no one. Obviously, there are players that are better. I shouldn't go that far. But he is, as you say, unplayable at times. The problem is, it's 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 where you'll get a very good performance out of him. And that's just not good enough. So to Chris's point, he's probably a bench player. Used correctly, he could really help you. But I'm a fan of his. I think he's a unique talent, but I don't think he's ever been able to put it all together, CJ. That's the problem with him. He's just not consistent.
I think the problem is, Russ, is say that Adama Traore did put it all together, he wouldn't be at Fulham Football Club.
I know that's the argument. I know.
That's a problem, right? I think that we can't really rely on Adama to sort of go through 38 games doing an average level of performance. Like we have spoken about it just here, Russ. It's either here or it's here. I think that you say that you can get him within the right scenarios, playing him like within the right games, like amongst quite a few competition for wingers that Fulham have. Like, I see no real issue with having him in the squad. But say a Saudi team did come in and offer silly money for him,
right?
You know, I'd probably take the money for him. But you know, he has something to offer this Fulham squad.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's just a matter of how much does he have to offer because of the inconsistency. I love watching him play. I think he scares teams left and right. It's just it comes down to the end product. The end product just simply isn't good enough, and or consistent enough. Because at times the end product can be good. He's just one of these players consistently inconsistent. That's just Adama Traore. But I'm glad that he's with us and not against us. I will say that. I'm glad that he's definitely a Fulham player. That's a positive. All right, CJ. Before we wrap up this show, Major thank you for doing this show with me today.
Russ, listen, mate, it is a pleasure. Hopefully there is quite a few more to come. Like I'm sure there is.
There will be.
Of course, Russ. Of course. Yeah. Hopefully there is many more to come, and hopefully the second episode was even better than the first. The first time was so nice, we had to do it twice.
That's right. And I've really enjoyed this show, my friend. And I'll just say it one more time. Say hello to your father for me, a Patriots fan. You are a Jets fan.
Garrett Wilson's extended, sources extended. Listen, we are coming for the AFC East, Russ, mate. Don't worry about it.
You beat me to it. I was going to say, I don't want to bore people on the NFL, but Garrett Wilson did sign a new contract for the New York Jets. So good for you that he was do that. Okay. Before we go, one last time, I do want to mention this. I'm going to keep on mentioning this to please do take up my offer of my gift here of 2 months of free access. I'll actually put this in the comments section. The link to that. I definitely please do take advantage of these 2 free months of access to the Cottage Talk Patreon page. It is pinned to my X account, Russ_Goldman, and on the Cottage Talk X account, it's on the Cottage Talk Facebook page. It's in plenty of places, and please do check it out and claim your gift now. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. I actually have a special episode coming on Thursday, and I look forward to sharing that with you. For CJ, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk.